Okay, hello. Um, I suppose I wanted to do a video for a date that's coming up for a potential Hoover Dam thing. But what I wanted to do is I just wanted to do just a quick 10-minute video just about the potential of Madonna still croaking before what would potentially be a Hoover Dam date. Okay, I know I sound like a broken record going about this stuff, but the day to day, actually where I am, is still the 1st of December. Okay, but Madonna is in a place right now where it's probably already the 2nd of December, and this is one of these dates that looks very interesting for a potential croquet date for Madonna, and so does the 3rd, and so does the 4th. But the 5th of December, I kind of got more pegged towards the actual Hoover Dam. And I want to explain some of this, but I don't really want to do a massive video. So, just talking off the top of my head now, it's been quite some time since I did this decode, but it's in the back catalogue somewhere. And it's the portrait frame decode. I call it the portrait. I don't know what I originally called it, but there's two little portrait frames at the bottom of the dollar bill on each side. Okay, that's what those things are, and what that does is that gives us a reference of. In fact, let's just hang on a minute. Let me see if I can find you a picture, and I'll just show you so that it can be clear what I want. This. Let's make this bigger. Let's see. That'll probably work. Okay, so if you're watching my stuff, you're probably familiar with this this billfold, okay? And this is where the little owl. Let me get a good color on here. The little owl, which is sat right here normally, okay, where that red dot is now, on the corner of the shield. This shield comes over and meets up with this O here, okay, and this gives us pi, which is pi, okay, right here. And if you flip this around, it's a 1011 reference, and I've done a whole bunch of decodes on this before, okay. What's interesting about this is the bottom of the dollar bill now. This is the phallic symbol right here, okay, going up into whatever you want to call this right here, okay, the two legs or whatever, I don't know, the womb maybe. You could maybe call this part the womb here, or this part the womb or the vesica Pisces, I don't know. But anyway, regardless, we have this phallic symbol, and then down the bottom here, this number 8 that is formed, or the two bulls, or the two zeros there. Okay, yeah, these are the two bulls, and here's the phallus here. So what we've got going on is an 8-1 reference right here. Okay, or 18. Okay. Now, with it, I don't know how to explain this, but it took me a while to figure this out as well. But originally, I'm looking at these things and I'm saying to myself, why is one of these? Why didn't they just repeat? You see how this has got this, this bit coming here at the front, and this seems to be a side-on view of the same thing. Okay, this kind of almost looks like a wave coming over a horseshoe. Okay, like a wave coming over the top of a horseshoe dam. But I was saying to myself, why is this face on? And I kind of got the idea. I'm like, this kind of looks like an old-fashioned portrait frame, and and this one is a side-on version of this. So this is a front portrait picture of somebody, and this is a side-on picture of somebody. Well, the dollar bill, the number 1, the first president, of the United States, George Washington, yeah, the front on view of George Washington is actually on the dollar bill. The side portrait, or the sort of side silhouette portrait, I don't know what you even call it, but a side view of Washington's head is on the quarter. Okay, so what we have here is this is referencing the dollar bill, this side, and this side is referencing the quarter. Okay, so that gives us a 1 and a 25 reference here. Okay, so this is, again, super duper important because, 51, 52, 53, and 54, 4 days. Again, if you like, this is like whenever I'm looking at this rebirth stuff, we've got the 3 days of Christ, and then we've got the 4 days of Lazarus. Okay, so this is 251, but this also, you can make several different dates out of this, and this is at the top of the dartboard, a whole bunch. And it's an abbreviation of Christmas as well, yeah. Obviously, 12, if you take 1225, and you just condense these two twos down into a single 2, 125, it's not too much of a stretch to condense that down. Especially, I mean, if it, obviously with like the number 11, it's a little more warranted because there's a good example of condensing or switching between the number 1 and the number 11, which is with the ace. Okay, that's kind of what I was doing there with the 1225. So this 125 or 521, I mean, it shows up a whole bunch. We talked about it a whole bunch before, and obviously you can go to what would we want to go to here? Let's go to the dartboard, and we can see at the top of the dartboard, yeah, 521, which is obviously can be May the 21st, or we could read it backwards. It could be 125. Again, 125 shows up on the dartboard together. Here it is again here next door. Part of that 521 is also 125 here, and then down here as well. These numbers are grouped together, obviously significant, as is, 8 and 11 being grouped together. Okay, so this date is coming up, and it is, without spending a whole bunch of time sort of talking about, the relevance of the number 18. This is the erect man again, yeah. If you actually look at the dollar bill as well, with this fold line down the middle, actually you actually have almost the phallus made of the twin towers there. But that phallus symbolism is the the resurrection the resurrection of man. So it is kind of interesting that we have this going on right here with the 1-8, okay, the 18 or 81, whichever way around you want to do it, but the number 18 here, obviously with the reference to 125, how do you take that reference? Is it just referencing Christmas? Is it just referencing, well, I got some interesting number jumps to do, very, very interesting number jumps to do with this date. And there's several other dates. You see, when we look at like Back to the Future, for instance, there are some interesting number jumps referenced in Back to the Future, and I'm going to tell you one of them. I'll just go for a couple of them that take us to the 5th. I should write like that. The 5th of December. Okay. One of those interesting number jumps is Queen Elizabeth's death. Okay, so Queen Elizabeth dies on the 8th of September. What we're talking about with the death of a queen is then the resurrection of man. Okay, so Queen Elizabeth obviously represents a tyrant. There's no other way of looking at that. I don't think, but she is the the matrix that we are stuck in. When she dies, man is reborn. So at that point, there is a birthday, the birth of man again, the rebirth of man. Okay. If we add on 88 days from her death, that will take us to the 5th of December, if I'm remembering my stuff correctly. This is very interesting with Back to the Future, because at the start of Back to the Future, of course, Doc says when this baby hits 88, you're going to see some serious shite. Well, when the Queen dies, man is reborn, 88 miles an hour, 88 days later is this day. Okay? Again, I mean, I'll tell you what else is interesting, actually, with the Back to the Future stuff. Right at the start of Back to the Future, of course, this is another one that bugs me a lot, is that Marty ends up being, all the clocks have been reset by Doc, and Marty ends up being 25 minutes late for school, or at least 8:25 or 25. I guess the clocks are 25 minutes late, is what I'm trying to say. So we have this 25 reference, which is another quarter reference, which don't forget here with the quarter here. Okay. So don't forget we have this reference with the quarter over here, the side-on view of Washington. And don't forget this is re-referenced in Back to the Future as well a couple of times. In fact, I think maybe Save the Clock Tower, Marty gives a quarter, okay, and he's asked a thumb. This is funny because I think this is my thumb here. Maybe no, I don't think it's my thumb. I don't know. But he's asked a thumb. What did he ask a thumb? I think it's 100. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I think he's asked a thumb 100, so a 1 reference. And that's in Back to the Future 2, where the guy gives him the idea to go back and put some money on the Cubs, or on, not on the Cubs, but that's the reference they use. So anyway, this shows up a few times, is what I'm trying to say. This 25 reference. Also at the start, when Marty makes the jump home, and he decides he's gonna save Doc. So he's going back from 1955, and he decides he wants to save Doc. They put a little 10:11 reference in there. He's going to go back 10 minutes early, but in fact, when he types it in, it turns out to be 11 minutes early, which is important as well for the 10:11 reference, because the 10:11, which is right here. I mean, I've got a ton more references to do with this stuff now. I've got about 3 or 4 really good videos that I just haven't had time to do. But the 10:11, again, the symbolism, the numerology of that is 111. The 3 towers resurrected. Okay, the Twin Towers and Tower 7, which is the balance point between those 2 towers, I reckon. Anyway, it's basically represents balance itself, divine balance, God. Anyway, what am I even talking about? The 10:11. If we go from 10:11, which is this part of the dollar bill here, which is of course a decode that I've talked about, potential date for the Hoover Dam. If we go from this and we add on that 25, that all the clocks were late or 25 minutes wrong. If we add on 25, he's late for school. He's late. Okay, 25 minutes on to 10:11. Okay, the 10th of November brings us out at the 5th of December. So there's a couple of nice little references there with Back to the Future. Anyway, backtracking. Well, now it's already the 2nd. We'll see. The date has changed here. We'll see. I keep saying to my family, well, I reckon if Madonna croaks, then it's likely it's going to happen. It's likely that the Hoover Dam will be next. But Madonna still hasn't croaked. But I tell you something interesting, and this is why I was thinking of this. Because of this date, I was like, I wonder where she's on tour right now. So what do I want to go to here? I was thinking to myself, I wonder where she's on tour right now. And so the 2nd, she's going to be in Amsterdam, which is, I'm like, ooh. So this becomes very, very interesting. And the reason why I'm looking at the 2nd is because, again, we go back to the dollar bill. 122 is it's in the dollar bill in a couple of different formats, but the one that I'm thinking of is the Labor Day ritual number jump that's in the dollar bill from the 5th of May, 55, 122 days takes us to 49, which this year was Labor Day. And obviously that's a significant, when you do that billfold, if you go back to my back catalogue and look through, when you do that billfold, excuse me, it's like you can unfold the bill and it's like Washington's head comes up out of the dam. It's a pretty good one. And that's a 122 reference. And of course, I've looked at Die Another Day for Madonna, which was released on October the 22nd, which again is a 122 numerology again. Okay. And there's tons of other little references, which I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on right now. But this Amsterdam with the dam reference, is very, very interesting. It would be very interesting if she was to keel over in the middle of a concert or something. That would be very, very interesting, and that would be headline news. Again, Amsterdam, the Netherlands. The guy that springs to mind is, again, I believe referenced in Back to the Future, at least Back to the Future 2. I believe there's a shot, and I reckon it's a Van Gogh painting in the background where Marty's he's either just done talking to Needles or he was going to talk to Needles or whatever when he gets fired. I'm sure at some point there in the home scene there's a Van Gogh or Van Gogh-esque type picture. And again, Amsterdam, the Netherlands, where obviously Van Gogh was Dutch, or Van Gogh. I think some people, I don't know what the correct way of saying that is, but anyway, Vincent van Gogh. Obviously, Vincent has a lot of connections as well to the idea of the dam, the Van Dam. I mean, I could just go on for hours about little connections with that, with the name and the idea of it going Van Gogh. But really, the connection for me is Don McLean's American Pie, and obviously the other single, I've got it up here actually, Vincent, which actually was on the American Pie, Blumenau, what was it on? It was on American Pie's, on the album, I think. What did I just hear? Castles in the Air on in something. Side B, Castles in the Air. That's in a song that I was just listening to. I can't remember what song it was. Women hell. Anyway, not to worry. But Vincent, okay? And of course, this is about Vincent van Gogh, okay? So there's the connection, and American Pie as well with the length on American Pie, the Pluto number, the 842, which in reverse is 248, which is a Pluto number. But 842, let me take you to the table, the chart of Lorraine, and we'll just go through a few of these numbers. And hang on a minute. Let me see. Let's do this one. So let's look at this real quick. 122. Let's talk about 122, and let's talk about the 842, because 842 shows up. Here's our 521. Okay. So there's our 5th of December in reverse. Okay. Then right here is our part of our 842. Our 842 actually is connected. It actually ends up being a total to this point here. So this is 842. That total, excuse me. That total is, if we add up each of these going through here, it will total up to 842 at this point, at the number 12. So what I'm trying to say to you there is that look at the reference, and of course Madonna did American Pie, a cover of American Pie as well. Not a very good one, but she did a cover of it. And so this 842 obviously cross-references with the 2 and the 12, which is obviously a 122. Okay, so 842 with American Pie and Don McLean, and that connection to Vincent, okay, connects here. And also 122 as a total. If we come over to here now, you do a you just jump back one, and it'll give you your total up to the point is one less than what you have over here. So this one less than this number. If you jump back over a column, you know, this will give you 122. So this is a 2-8 reference here. I don't know if you remember in Ghost Town. I'm pretty sure there's a 2-8 right at the end of Ghost Town in that single by Madonna, which is an apocalyptical type video for that. So you know, we've been through that before as well. That 122 shows up here, okay, which again is kind of interesting because, you know, both of these numbers, if we go to the if we were to go to some number jumps with Madonna now, I believe, can't think off the top of my head, but 108 days I believe is to the 2nd of December, okay, which is our 122 reference. I believe that's 108 days from Madonna's birthday through, which is kind of interesting. And I want to say that might be 29 days left. So let's go to that. And also the 123, the 3rd, yeah, the 3rd of December is right here as well. Again, with a number 10 in our column, which is to do with completion, you know, and starting the cycle again. So 1, 2, 3. And again 1, 2, 3. The total right here actually is 3, 2, 1 at this point. Okay, I should have the total written right here, which is 3, 2, 1 for this point. So again, there's lots of, you know, the 22nd is interesting, the 23rd is interesting, and the 24th actually is kind of interesting as well. Just because Christmas Eve, you know, obviously the 24th, and the Eve being, you know, the day before the event, obviously that's an interesting day as well. So 124 is also interesting. And I mean, I tell you one other thing is interesting is if you do the cross references again with 124, there's 12, and here's the hidden 4 row here in purple. When you come across on the hidden 4 row in purple, it's an exact 500, which is pretty, I think that's kind of special in here. So, you know, 412, or this is a course in reverse, this is the Queen's birthday, 214, and to have that 500, that's quite an interesting reference there. Obviously that numerologically speaking goes back down to number 5, which is again you know, the Holy Spirit. Okay. I'm trying to think what I'll go with this now. Let's go to the actual calendar and just take a quick couple of minutes on it. So if we look at, so there's a couple of, I got a nice little personal reference here, and I'll tell you the personal reference to the actual 5th, which is, and you know, I mean, I can't imagine anybody else could have this reference. The numbers on this side of here, there's 3, 3, 9, and the 2 and the 6. This is almost very, very close to my old English home phone number. Now, you might, if you've watched the channel, you might have heard me talk about ET before, and my slight childhood trauma with ET. But there's definitely a place in my mind for ET. You know, there's definitely a personal reference there. And the ET phone home, and this being my very extremely close to my original home phone number, is very interesting. It's just a personal reference. I don't know what else I can say about it, other than it's just very, very weird for me to have that reference. So there's that reference. Okay, that doesn't really mean anything to anybody else apart from to me, but it is very significant. When we look at the 2nd, which would now be today, here's that 29 days left, and the 3rd is 28 days left, and so we had a kind of cross-reference a little bit with that and adjacent numbers, and you know, that was super duper I thought that was kind of interesting. The 337, that is relatively interesting, because when you do go to the chart, there is a 377 right in here as well, which again, I don't know if I even want to spend a whole bunch of time, but you know, this 14 column, there's some interesting stuff going on in here, obviously with the 843, which happens to actually show up in a few other spots, but this 14 with the clock tower, you know, 1004. So, you know, where do you draw the line at, you know, how far you take a reference and how many cross references you do in this chart, and where you cross reference to out there in the real world? I don't know. I'm kind of running out of stuff. I got more stuff to talk about, but again, this was going to be a 2-minute video. Now it's probably about 20-something minutes long already, I expect. I think I'm going to leave it there. I really just wanted to discuss the potential for the next few days of Madonna croaking, the idea of her being in Amsterdam, the connection back to, obviously, Amsterdam, obviously the connection back to Dam, obviously the connection back with New York, That obviously connects back to you know, older times when that was also Dutch at one point, or whatever it was, I don't know. So there's references back there with New York, and obviously the tie-in with New York. Obviously, 9/11 is extremely closely tied with the idea of the Hoover Dam. Extremely closely tied. I'm seeing more and more videos, like music videos and things. In fact, I'm going to show you a Michael Jackson one here, if I've got time in the next few days. Where we see 9/11 references and Damn references together in the same music video. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like, every time I watch somebody that does they might do a video on 9/11, and I keep seeing little Damn references in those videos, and it's obviously the same with Back to the Future. The Hoover, the hovercraft, the hoverboard scene, and the Hoover connection. So I don't know what else to say, really. I'm just waffling, really. What else do I say? The 122, the 123. I obviously, I can do. There are more references in here to that, but for now, I think I'm just going to leave it there. There are a couple of, just off the top of my head, there are a couple of really interesting number jumps. And I'll tell you one of the really interesting number jumps. If you go from, I think it's going to be January the 25th, another 125 number, and you go 314 days, okay, which is our reference with 10/11, the 314th day of the year. So our reference with 10/11 is 314 is pi. In that dollar bill fold, it even gives us the word pi, P-I. So pi is referenced. So if I go 314 days from that date, where does it bring us? Yeah, it brings us to the 5th of December. Again, 125 again. If you write the date the right way, like English people do. 125. Okay. No, it's 52512 if you write it the right way. Goodness, Dan, you're completely mental. Yeah, if you write it the wrong way, the American way, then that's what you've got. So I'm all over the place. I don't even know how to write dates anymore because I'm so messed up from being in America. Every time I have to go fill a form in somewhere, I'm always writing the date wrong. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there because I'm just too tired. I'm not thinking completely straight, and I just wanted to do the video because I don't know if I'm gonna have time to. I hope I have time to come back and readdress this before the 5th. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on another one here pretty soon, I hope. Okay, cheers. Bye.